is the required quorum present for the proper conduct of this meeting.
Mr. Chairman, we have received 32 proxies from members of the association. There are present 13 full members. There are 98% of members represented here today. The required quorum of 30% thereof of the active members of the company, being either a member entitled to vote thereon, or a duly represented proxy holder of a representative of a member so entitled, has thus been satisfied.
Thank you, Madam SJ. We may now proceed with the business of this meeting as set out in the notice I refer to. First of all, confirmation of minutes of the 40th AGM. You will all have received the minutes of the 40th AGM on the CANTO website, and I suggest that the minutes be taken as read. As there are there any suggestions, suggested changes to the text with regard to the minutes of the 40th AGM? Are there any suggested changes? I see no hands. So since there are no suggested changes from the members, let us move to the confirmation of the minutes of the 40th AGM. Will someone move a motion for confirmation of the minutes of the 40th AGM? Director Reynolds, ATNI. A seconder? Director Clifford, Digicel Turks and Caicos. The motion for confirmation of the minutes. I declare the motion has been carried unanimously. Sorry. Item 2, matters arising from the minutes. I now ask if there is a member to ask a question regarding matters arising out of the minutes. No questions regarding matters arising out of the minutes. We will now move on then to item number 3, presentation of committee reports. We will start by inviting Mrs. Lisa Egert of the CANTO C9 committee to present for us. Please. Yes. Please take note of the fact that we have a very tight schedule, so please let the presentations have a time of a maximum 5 minutes, and then we can have 5 minutes for questions. Mrs. Liga Egert. Welcome.
Chairman, thank you so very much, and members of the board. A lot of you were at my presentation this morning, so hence there's no need for me to review the details. Safe to report to this annual general meeting that CANTO C9 was very successful in terms of getting the CARICOM heads of government to, well, at least the CARICOM Secretariat, to set up a working group to look at models as to how we can achieve a gigabit Caribbean society. Those terms of reference were adopted last year, March, and we had 3 committees set up, one looking at how we define the gigabit Caribbean society, one looking at infrastructure investment and how we recover funds for broadband infrastructure development, and the third looking at harmonized policies and legislation that need to underpin a digital economy. I'm happy to report that that report has in fact been completed. A paper has been prepared along with resolutions to be presented at the CARICOM Heads of Government meeting on the 19th of February. So we are well on our way to having this matter considered and addressed at the highest levels of decision making in the Caribbean. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mrs. Agar. 1 second, please, before you leave the stage. Are there any questions for... No questions? Then it was very clear. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members.
We'll now move on to the next committee, and I'd like to invite Ms. Crystal Leet from TSTT to present for us. She's from the Regulations Committee.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So the CANTO Regulatory Committee is the committee that really looks at regulations and policies, particularly within the region. I apologize, thank you. With an aim toward influencing such policies in the best interests of the CANTO members, which would be the operators. We have a very small working group. These are core members. We are always looking for new members, so if anyone is interested at the end of today's proceedings, feel free to reach out to me or my Vice Chair, Director Reynolds, and we'd be happy to have you on board with us. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to touch on what we would have achieved over the previous year. So ordinarily, we have a heavy focus on the writing of white papers on matters that are of critical interest to the industry. And we tend to churn out quite a bit of papers on an annual basis. For the last year, however, we wanted to place greater focus on impact in areas that some of our members had concerns. One of those areas was the area of price regulations in the Caribbean, particularly with regard to how our regulatory authorities have been managing this in our spaces. So we had one paper, very impactful, it's in the Cancion, it's on the internet, that is now the single piece of published item that gives you a comprehensive view of price regulations in our region from the very laying of the first price regulation many, many years ago. So traditionally, if someone wanted to find information in relation to price regulations in the Caribbean, they would have to visit each regulator's website or reach out to their colleagues in the industry to get that information. This CANTO paper is the only thing that is published that gives you a comprehensive view all the way up to the events that took place as recently as last year. It also makes recommendations for future considerations as it relates to price regulations, so I encourage you to have a look at it. We had another paper that has not yet been published, but it was approved by the board, and it looks specifically at AI, given the trust towards a number of companies looking to having AI systems implemented or AI to facilitate their operations. But we look specifically at our region's readiness in terms of our legislation to take into consideration discrimination and bias as a result of generative AI. So we encourage you to have a look at that paper as well. Moving into 2025, we've shifted our focus a bit from writing white papers to having a different perspective. We're looking at what we call Igniting 2025, and what we're trying to do is pull or attract more members to both CANTO and to the Regulatory Committee by adopting a different approach. So first, we are focusing on something called fresh perspectives, because we recognize that sometimes we sit in our little silos as operators and we don't properly engage with our regulators in a less combative or less informal setting. So Fresh Perspectives is going to allow us the opportunity to have dialogue with regulators on a quarterly basis. We're inviting them in to have a webinar session with us. And we're saying, listen, we want to know what your biggest headaches are. Sometimes you really don't appreciate your perspective, so we're inviting your fresh perspective so that we could perhaps have greater collaboration moving forward. We're also seeking to have perspectives from members in the industry outside of the region. We're looking particularly at Africa to have some speakers come in as well. We are focusing as well on informing and reframe, and is the part that will continue looking at the writing of white papers to shape regulatory policy moving forward. And the final approach, or the final pillar in our roadmap moving forward, is Empower. And Empower is really a collaborative arrangement that we have sought to achieve through working with one of our training partners, Sonova. And we're really going to look at having free training sessions every quarter to our members via the avenue of webinars. So looking at 2025, we're going to continue focusing on white papers to influence policy, have improved dialogues with other stakeholders in the industry, and focus on training. So that's it for us from the Regulatory Committee. Yeah, so right here on this last slide, some of the areas that we want to focus on moving forward in 2025. And in the interest of time, I will wrap up and invite any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Crystalline?
So because we have different regions that are at different stages in terms of looking at net neutrality, some have now begun their consultations, some have wrapped up like that in Trinidad, we're really focusing on what is best for the industry. So we've realized that we tend to take the patterns of our legislation from what has been happening in the United States or perhaps Europe. Now, there's been a shift in policy in the United States where we don't anticipate any net neutrality in the future, given some legislative changes that took place in June of last year. In Trinidad in particular, our regulator is focusing on, or they've written consultation to have no throttling or implement net neutrality in the near future. So we've asked ourselves, what does the industry want? So we have two operators in particular who reached out to the committee to get support in responding to their regulators or writing to their regulators to say, here's what, this is our model. We're not supporting net neutrality moving forward. We want to have the ability to control how we charge for traffic. We want the ability to throttle when necessary and so on. So it's really about what does the industry want, and where there are different stages in the approaches, we will deal with each one on a case-by-case basis. No, that hasn't changed. We did have I think it was a MOU that we had across the industry where we were supporting a free and open internet. That has not changed.
Because you just said like we are
Melissa.
not supporting net neutrality. So I just wondered if the position of CANTO had changed on the issue of net neutrality.
No, CANTO's position has not changed, but remember, CANTO's position was an MOU. We have agreement that even some regulators refer to in their writing of consultative documents. They recognize CANTO's position, but their legislation or their regulation is going to trump that agreement that we have, which of course is not legally binding. Melissa? So we've partnered, like I mentioned, with Sonova, and we're looking specifically at regulatory focus training. So we have two operators who reached out to us to get some guidance in relation to cybersecurity, for example. And you might see that up there. We also have another committee, the Tech Trends Committee, who wanted some guidance on approaches to cybersecurity in the region and outside the region. So that's an example of an area where Synnöve is going to be providing some training. So the training areas are areas where our members have asked for more information on or for some guidance on. Yeah? Not at this point in time. So initially, about 6 months to 1 year ago, we did a part one of a satellite services paper, which basically gave general information on satellite services, benefit to the region, and that kind of thing. So we're looking at a part two of the satellite services paper where we're looking at potential impact on operators. Do we expect any anticipated impact on our revenue, subscribers? We're looking at the ability of Elon Musk service to make phone calls and that kind of thing. This one was requested by, I think, someone in Cable Bahamas. So just to add on, in response to that question, we are constrained in terms of the numbers of people that are part of the committee. So we tend to have quite a bit of things that we want to do, but the list of committee members, as you see there, is pretty short. Yeah? Any more questions? As much as possible.
But I like their strategy. They are presenting themselves in such a way that they're not looking for members anymore. Members are looking for them.
We actually want to have, at some point in time, each major provider represented and or each country in the region represented. When we have our meetings, we tend to start the meetings with country updates. So everyone who's on the call would get a little idea of what's happening in their colleagues' countries. But of course, since the list is so short, sometimes those updates are pretty short as well. Yeah? That's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I will now call on to Melissa Harris, Telecom Corporation, from the Marketing Committee. Just to remind members, when you have questions, please state your name and your company so that we can record that. And if they're speaking to the microphone as well so that it can be better recorded.
I really didn't know I was going to be doing this, but I'm delighted to be up here. I have to admit, chairing the Sales and Marketing Committee and Disha being our board champion has been just a delight. The Secretariat team has been on our committee. It's been absolutely wonderful. We had a really long presentation to the board the other day, and we have a new Sales and Marketing Committee chair from ATN. And Mark is looking around for Alyssa. That sounds great. Well, we're going to have another dynamic leader of the Sales and Marketing Committee, and we'll move forward there. And I could go into a long list of things. Kimberly is one of the Sales and Marketing Committee members, and we appreciate all she's done. I think that may be all we have. Yes, here. So, y'all want me to say anything more? Okay, how about questions? Well, I tear up a little bit. It's been just a delight being on this committee, but I'm excited what we're going to do with the new HR and Training Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you very much for your contributions in the Marketing Committee, and we're looking forward to your contributions in the HR Committee. Thank you very much. I'll now call on to Janice Asra from Telesur, who will present on the corporate social responsibility committee right now.
Good afternoon. Yes. Just going through the presentation very quickly. Yes, as you know, we're not only here as CANTO to make a lot of money to do business, but also to improve our communities, and that's why CSR is very important to CANTO as well. These are our members. I'm very proud of this list because we started very small. These are the projects I want to update you on. To get more countries involved into the CSR activities in the regions, we have decided to do a CSR award program. We announced it in July during the conference in Miami. And what we've decided also to do is to make the connection with the SDGs, to have a bigger impact and to have more direction into what we want to achieve in the region. I will explain more about the SDG ball. We've also adopted a e-waste program that first started in Trinidad, and we implemented it in Suriname. And this is also an example how you can take things that other countries in the region do and adopt it to your specific market and get the results that you want to have. And we are also looking into developing an e-learning platform. This is the logo that you're going to see in the couple of months ahead, going towards the conference in July. So remember this, because all of you are going to get an email to submit your CSR proposal for the CSR award. I would really, really like for you to be a part of this. So you're invited to submit your proposals. So this is a quick timeline of what we're going to do in the coming months. Like I said, look forward to an email with regards to the specific criteria of the projects, the CSR projects. It has to be linked to an SDG. And this is going to have a competition element, so put your best foot forward. Like I said, I'm going to share more about the SDG ball. So the United Nations has, to get more promotion for their SDG program, they have this initiative where they pass a ball with the 17 SDGs forward to several companies, where the companies pledge their commitment to the SDGs. And we want to connect this with CANTO as well, so that the entire region understands that CANTO also supports the SDGs. It's going to be beneficial for our area. And this is also going to be connected with the CSR awards. And in the conference in the Bahamas, we're going to do something very special with this ball. So I will invite all of you to be there so you can be part of this big thing that we're going to do. This is a quick update of the e-waste program that we have in Suriname. Like I said, it started in Trinidad. When we adopted it and wanted to do it in Suriname, it was a bit expensive. But you learn how to adjust the programs that have been done in several areas and just to make it your own, so it can be implemented in your market in a way that is suitable for your community. And so we're going to write a paper about this and share it with everyone, so as to stimulate all of you in your respective areas, how you can implement this and make a difference as well. And last but not least is our e-learning platform. It's called Stuka Plus. Stuka is a Surinamese dialect word, and it stands for studying. So we want to develop a platform where companies, people with skills can share information, and students in the entire region can go onto the platform and increase their capacity. That way we can create like resources, human resources that we can share in the entire region. So you have basically more skill available for the development of our companies and for our areas. That's it really quickly. And I would invite anybody who has not joined the committee as of yet, please do so. It's very rewarding and it's a way for you to make an impact. Or if you cannot, somebody in your company for sure can. Yeah, that's it quickly. If there's any questions.
Thank you. I see Melissa.
Yes, Melissa?
Stuka plus e-learning LMS.
Yeah.
Is it just going to be devoted to what you all are working on, or can we share that with the other committees?
Oh, I'm going to contact you for sure because you have some content I want to use. So absolutely, I invite all of the committees, everybody who wants to share their knowledge. This is a platform. It's going to be available for everybody. So share. We will be in touch for sure.
Thank you. A microphone, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Reese Campbell, Cable and Wireless Communications. I wanted to ask you a question. Do we have anything like a corporate social responsibility giving day that we can observe across all of our companies?
Like a policy.
Well, not necessarily a policy, but I'm thinking it would be good if we can have an activity for, let's say we dedicate August 2 across all entities and we do one activity
Oh,
in
that's
some
a
way,
very good idea.
shape or form to actually like bring us all together to celebrate our diversity and the fact that we're doing, whatever the CSR thing is, and we link it to the SDGs. So
Yeah.
we can have, you can pick anything, any activity that's linked to the Sustainable Development Goals.
Yes, so that's what we wanted to do with the CSR awards to get that
Right.
that up and running.
Yeah.
And from there we can take it further, of course, and develop so that everybody
Yeah.
gets to be part of it and
Exactly.
is stimulated to do something also in their respective region and
Yes.
share it with every one of us.
Okay, great, good. I think that would be a good idea. So
Thank
just
you so
wanted to share
much.
that, yeah.
Finished? Yes.
If there are no other questions, thank you, Janice, for your presentation. We normally leave the finance advisory committee as last, but I will not do so today. So I would like to invite Danelle Richards, APOA, from the finance advisory committee to present to us.
Good afternoon, everyone. So today I'll be just doing a brief overview with regards to the finance for CANTO. As you could see, this is our core team. It's made up of myself, Gerald Cooper, Jimmy Rodriguez from Secretariat, Khalib Mohammed, and Robert Panka from TSTT. So basically, as we go through, you would see from previous years, we would have seen a slight reduction in our revenue, just approximately 6%. I won't be going in depth with it because the treasurer will be doing the treasurer's report coming forward. With regards to our expenditure, we, however, were able to keep our expenditure within budget. And as you would see with the financial review, we have no long-term debt. So basically what we've been doing to support the Secretariat, obviously with decision makings, we have decided to play a more deeper role with the Secretariat in terms of enhancing the communication, providing more data so that they could drive decision making. We have also started to look at some alternative revenue source. Currently, we're looking at some alternative revenue sources. So with regards to the Secretariat, we're actually looking to try and see with the additional space that we have to do some rental at the Trinidad office, because one of the things that we're noticed is that we're not at risk, but we're also looking for alternative revenue sources. So we're looking to see if we can try and provide some alternative revenue for the Secretariat. Also, currently we're working with a TSTT to do a compensation review package with regards to what's happening at the Secretariat in terms of the org structure, in terms of the compensation fees and the salaries and wages. We're also looking to do additional review of the financial reports to try and give a better take with regards to CANTO. Also, over time, we have noticed that sometimes we've had the budgets and sometimes we've gone slightly over the budget. So we're trying to work with the Secretariat and the board so that we can try and inform them in a more timely manner where that is concerned. So with regards to projects going forward, as I mentioned, we'll be working on a budget to try and have it more streamlined to assist the Secretariat. We'll be working on the compensation package review, and we'll also be looking to implement some KPI measures to try and assist with decision makings. Any questions?
No questions? Then I'd like to thank Donnell Richards for his clear presentation. We will now move on with Sheikh Hussain Power and Tel from the Vendors and Suppliers Committee.
Good afternoon. I'll try to be as brief as possible. It's nice that Dinner spoke about raising money because the Vendors and Suppliers Committee, for those of you who are aware of our existence, we are part of the CANTO body, not as full members, but as affiliate members. And one of our roles that we have taken on is to assist CANTO as best as possible in being able to be financially viable, in being able to do more for the region. So that's basically our goal. In return, we are hoping that by being involved with CANTO as they make their projects useful for the region, that we can benefit in some small way by getting the operators to recognize our contributions towards CANTO and the region by patronizing our business, and not just as a favor, but giving us the opportunity to be in front of you, to present new technologies and ways we can assist you in being profitable at the lowest cost. So I'll try to be, get this forward. I'm selling technology, but this one doesn't work for me. So I'll try to be brief. I think I have most of it in my head. One of the achievements, or the major achievements we have been able to get past was the introduction of the e-market platform, which I'm hoping all of you operators are aware of. It was implemented so that we can get more membership into the Vendors and Suppliers Committee when they recognize there's value to being affiliate members. And basically how it works is all of you operators have projects that you buy products for. You look for solutions and you have tenders that you would put out on an annual basis. And those tenders, by virtue of their volume, is worth something to vendors and suppliers. Most of them don't have the right contacts in your companies, so by being able to put on a platform what you intend to buy for the year, it's a sellable item for vendors and suppliers to purchase that opportunity to participate. So the whole idea behind e-market is that you can post your tenders on that platform, and the vendors and suppliers like ourselves have the opportunity to purchase that package for a nominal fee, and by virtue of buying it, we will have a unique code that will now be able to submit our responses to that bid. In the end, CANTO will get a small fee for selling that package, and it increases revenue. And a side benefit to that is that by vendors and suppliers who are not members of CANTO, not affiliate members of CANTO, will see that value and come chasing after us to be members, as opposed to us going and begging vendors and suppliers to be a part of the CANTO affiliate body. So in a nutshell, that's what we are about. We have plans that we have made for 2025. You'll be hearing about it later on or seeing the effects of it. I want to compliment the Secretariat for doing such wonderful work in putting these events together, and we are hoping to continue working with them to make it a success. We want to see the exhibition hall full of vendors. We want to see the exhibition hall full of vendors whose exhibits complement the theme. So like this AGM is CANTO Connect. It's a wonderful name because it's connecting our group, vendors and suppliers, to operators like yourself, among others. So thank you. If you have any questions, I'm free to answer.
Thank you very much. I see Melissa's hand. Can you speak into the microphone, please? Your name.
So if I was an operator, I would be thinking if I posted my RFPs, my tenders, my competitors might be looking at that and getting a leg up on how they could counteract what we were trying to do. How do you all handle that objection to people participating in that?
That's a very good question. So, there are products that are purchased by an operator that are purchased like by a waiver of tender or by negotiations for particular technology. I don't want to call names, but let's say an Ericsson or Huawei, what they sell is not normally purchased via a tender like that. But for generic items like building the outside plant, the data centers, switches and routers, and those kinds of what you might classify as a different class of products to technology that you will purchase that you intend to use for the next 20 years, it is a separation. So the ones that you would normally buy every year is a different category of products from the one that you buy as a whole system. So I don't think buying second tier or category that falls into the generic items, you'll be giving away what you plan to do or what you're using as a unique separation from your competitors. Any other questions? Well, thank you all very much.
Thank you, Sheikh Hussain. We will now move on to item number 4 on the agenda, the Secretariat Report. To receive and consider the report of the Secretary General for the year ended 30th September 2024. This report has been circulated to members via the annual report, and I request that it is taken as having been read. However, I am inviting the Secretary General to present the main highlights of the report.
Thank you, Chair. And good afternoon, members. It's always a pleasure to come right after the committee reports, because members, as you know, the committees are the driving force behind CANTO. And most of what we do is reflected in our committees. The white papers that the Regulations Committee would have produced, initiatives like the Innovation Award, the CSR Award, business continuity initiatives, as well as initiatives that just improve CANTO, from the Finance Committee, the Vendors Committee, e-market. Those are things that had their birth at a committee and then moves on to the Secretariat. So I'm really want to put on record our thanks to the committee members who have been working diligently for CANTO. As the chairman, yes. As the chairman said, my report has been circulated and we take it as read. However, there are a few highlights I must present before you all, and I will start with the growth in membership. This year this financial year, we were able to add 10 new members to CANTO, and this says a lot. It means that the work of CANTO is being noticed and there is interest in what we do. So we remain an organization in the Caribbean that is still attractive by the work that we put on. Okay? And these are the logos of all these new members. Get accustomed to it. We have some of them in the room. Banka is one of our new full member. He's sitting at the head at the members table. We're happy to have them. So then, CANTO Conversation. CANTO Conversation was born out of the pandemic when we were all at home. The board of directors helped the Secretariat curate CANTO Conversations to stay in touch with our members, to promote what our members had been doing in spite of the pandemic. And as we know, our members provide that connectivity. So nothing could have happened without connectivity. So this is something that we're proud of. We still have it. We have 2 issues of the CANTO Conversation, one from March to April or May, and then one from October to November. It's a very nice way to get your voice heard, your brand out there, and to get information out throughout the Caribbean region. These are just some of the CANTO Conversation. The Cancion magazine, fully digitalized magazine, lots of new features. This is a very good way to get your brand in front of all the regional ICT players. There are different types of articles. There are ads. There are different ways you can engage with this magazine that goes on the desk or on the screen of every telecom CEO in the region. Working committees of the board, I will not go in that. It's just to say thank you, working committees, all the chairs, the vice chairs, and the coordinators for helping us do what we do. So the business continuity, financial, I will just go through all of them. Technology trends, and you all would have heard the winners this morning. Very, very good, innovative. Shows that the youths in the region is very talented. We also have a woman in ICT. And then we spoke about the e-market. So Talisur remains the only operator on e-market. And we're talking to some of you and look at e-market from a perspective where it's an innovative way for your procurement, and also an opportunity to work closely with CANTO and help us meet our objectives. Okay, so the last visit was in Suriname. No, this was in Bahamas. So we continue to do the roadshow, and we continue. We continue to have a gender and youth focus at the Secretariat. Girls and ICT Day remain one of the champion initiatives. We work with all our stakeholders to ensure that girls are educated and they see a clear path where they could take a field or choose a career in ICT, right? Representation at industry events, of course, to get our word out there, to bring new technology to the region. The Secretariat has been going to different places and working with other associations, regional and international, to ensure that we stay relevant and we get our brand out there. This is just some of the things we do. As we know, Spectrum is very important to us right now. Meetup. And some of you will see yourself on the pictures. Thanks for working with us. So now we come to CANTO Connect, and it speaks for itself. I wouldn't go into CANTO Connect. We had a good event. Thank you guys for all your support. This is just snapshots of the last CANTO Connect and the 30th Annual Conference and Trade Exhibition that was held in the US. These are the sponsors and these are the people who make it possible every year, right? And we know where we will be this year. And that's it for me. Thank you, Chair.
I'd now like to invite on comments and questions on the report. Excuse me, I'd now like to invite on comments and questions on the report. As there are no questions, excuse me, the microphone, please.
Good afternoon again, Chair Mark Reynolds for One Communications Guyana. Madam Chair, I just wanted to put on the record just to congratulate you and the Secretariat for the work that you have been doing, and just for the members here that Miss Wankin here has been a testament of hard work and has been an able support to the directorship. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director. It has been a pleasure. I have a very, very good team at the Secretariat and I have an excellent board. Thank you.
As there are no more questions, may we now propose the following motion. Be it resolved that the Secretary General's annual report for the year ended 30th September 2024 be received and adopted. May I have a proposer? Director Dupersoy, Telem. May I have a seconder? Director Clifford, Cable, and Digicel, Turks and Caicos. The motion is now up for voting. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand and say yea. All those against the motion, raise your hand and say nay. Any abstentions? I declare the motion carried out unanimously. We now move to item number 5, Chairman's report. I will now hand over to the Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With that, I introduce Mr. Mike Antonius, the Chairman, to give us the Chairman's report.
For me, it has been, as chairman of this organization, it has been very interesting to serve within this organization. It has been a very nice journey. We have achieved several things with each other, definitely working on our internal processes, also to get them digitalized, to be more efficient, is something that was one of our objectives and also one of the important things that we have achieved together. Furthermore, I think that another important thing for this organization that we have worked on together is to plan more ahead. And that is something that after an evaluation we had in Las Vegas, where we did a review on what was going on in our organization, things that needed to be changed, to be more specific, to be more, that we can adopt to the changing situation that we were all going through. So we have definitely scheduled out a plan and worked very specific on the implementation of what was mentioned in our plan. So in the past years, we were able to mention, for instance, that our conference and trade exhibition will be in Miami. So people could plan ahead and work towards those dates and even announce the dates in advance. Another thing is the same thing that we did with the AGMs, mentioning that the conference and trade exhibition will be held in Miami, but we will, for the AGM, we will be in the Caribbean. So that was also something that improved a lot. What we have seen, for instance, is that by doing so, the number of attendees went up. Another thing is that besides that the number of attendees went up, also the number of sponsors went up. Although we still have some challenges in that regard, it helps that maybe in the case that sponsors who are not able to sponsor the amounts as they have done in the past, but by having more sponsors, it just makes the numbers complete. So that is the challenging situations that we face. We were able to seek for solutions that can guarantee the continuation of CANTO, a very important platform in our region where we can meet, network, have personal contact with each other on a regular basis and do business with each other, share knowledge and look for common goals to achieve common goals. So the past year I have learned a lot. I have learned, for instance, to put my phone on silent. And by doing so, being able to have a fruitful gathering together. Anyway, what we have done in the past year was a very exciting journey to me. As you all know, I will pass the baton and will not participate in this year's elections. Thank you very much for the trust that you have put in me. Thank you for the support in any way possible. As Madam SG mentioned before, you can see all the work of the different committees, all that they're doing, also related to the evaluations we had, for them to be more specific, for them to be more contributing towards the objectives of CANTO, that you can also see the results for the organization. I am very proud, for instance, on every committee. But if I may mention the regulatory committee, because of the fact that they write. And in Dutch there is a saying, wie schrijft die blijft. Literally translated, he who writes stays. And that is a very important thing. Several reports, papers coming forward from that committee, and in the region we do not really have that habit of writing. So on several subjects, they're the only paper that gives a view on how we in the Caribbean think about certain subjects. So that is a very strong point, and also those type of papers are of a quality that it can be used for further research. So thank you very much once again. I'm really looking forward to continue supporting CANTO, but in a different capacity, and I will definitely be around. Thank you very much.
Are there any questions for the chairman? With that, I will then hand back to the chairman to continue.
Thank you, Dr. Newman. We will now move on to item number 6, presentation of audited financial statements. These statements were previously circulated, and I request that they be taken as read. I now call upon Mr. Gerard Cooper, Treasurer, to present an overview of the financial statements.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So, I know time has moved on a bit, so I'll be fairly succinct, but of course, strategic in some points that we certainly want to present in terms of the financials. So the key activities for the financial year ended September 2024, of course, we had the AGM in Trinidad, and of course, commenting the Secretariat, the Chairman, Vice Chair. This was the highest in-person revenue on record for the history of CANTO. It was a very successful AGM in Trinidad. Of course, it was also the highest in-person attendance as well, too. We had a very engaging annual conference in Miami. We had, as the Sheikh and the Secretary General would have mentioned, we had an e-market roadshow in Bahamas. That continues to be a mainstay, and you will see it in the budgets as we push this platform, very important. The CANTO conversations have continued post-COVID. That very important platform in terms of raising the presence and the profile of the organization, and of course the Girls in IT workshops, as the Secretary General would have mentioned. Those are some very, very important activities, both from a financial as well as a presence perspective for the organization. So let's get a bit into the numbers. As I always tell my board, my direct reports, profit is an opinion, cash is king. So let's start with the balance sheet. And the balance sheet ultimately is a statement, is the financial statement really that shows the financial position of the organization. Suffice to say, we are in a very strong position. We have assets well in excess of 1 million. We actually had 8% growth in this year. And that was mainly as an increase of the increase in reserves, which I'll speak to in a bit in terms of the surplus of the two major activities that we have had. In terms of the non-current assets, as you know, we have one major non-current asset. That basically would have had a minor change in terms of depreciation. Our current assets, again, reflecting growth in our capital, mainly from, we would have surplus from past years, we would have invested. As we're growing members, as the Chairman and the Secretary General indicated, the receivables inherently would increase, so that would have catered for the increase in current assets and ultimately the total assets of the organization. Reserves, again, you would see an increase there of 11,000 related to the surplus. In terms of the liabilities, we did have some increases there. And again, that is because, once again, thanking the Gada's share of the C9. The C9, as we know, ultimately is a very important platform, a very important perspective that the C9 is focused on. And so in driving that, we would have incurred some liabilities which would have contributed to that increase in the liabilities. So just a quick synopsis of really why I'm saying I'm very proud and confident really in the financial position of the organization. You would see that we have seen over the 4 years post-COVID an upward trajectory, a very healthy 20% over the past 4 years, and of course 2020 being the initial year of COVID. So I just want to say great work to the Secretariat, great work in particular to Jimmy and his team in terms of managing these expenses in the face of very challenging times of raising revenue. So now let's move on to the financial performance of CANTO. Before I get into it, just at a very high level, you would see ultimately that our total revenues in the year were 1.4 million. We would have spent it was a very challenging year, and I'll get into that as we get into the numbers in the next slide. We did have a fall in revenue of circa 6%, which the Finance Committee spoke to. Ultimately, would have happened there, we did have a fall in the sponsorships. Last conference for this financial year on the review, we'd have had a lot of challenges in terms of managing the continued sponsorships that we wanted to come on from prior years. Of course, we're a family, we're a home, so with less income, you have to manage your expenses. So we would have ultimately curtailed expenses as best as we can. And so, but the key thing is, of course, ensuring that we're sustainable. And we did indeed have a surplus of 11,000. You would see a little clap icon, and despite the challenges there, you would see the number of successes we would have had in the financial year. So just before I close, I just want to get a little deeper and unpack some of the income in terms, so the comprehensive income of the organization. Ultimately, as I said, we did have a -6% increase in revenue, and that was as a result of the reduced sponsorships. We are coming back, and I'll speak to it in the budgets. We plan to come back strong. The conference coming up in about 4 to 5 months. We would have, of course, managed our expenses. The AGM revenue, I do want to say, though, as I said, it was one of the most successful AGMs of all time. AGM income revenue did increase by 51,000. Again, a new record, as well as the rebranded CANTO Connect continue to show growth. We did have to manage costs, and during this year, during that financial year, we did, of course, have to manage the move to Trinidad, which would have had increased expenses from the previous year in Suriname. But again, kudos and hats off to the Secretariat in managing those expenses in terms of new revenue that ultimately would have achieved a surplus of 11,000. So in summary, yes, sorry about that. So in summary, again, surplus for the 4th year in a row. We've had ups and downs prior to COVID, but we are on a track, and I know, can't say that enough. It really does impact the financial stability, growth, and position of the organization. We have had increased interest and participation in CANTO. Anyone who is not yet a full member, I encourage everyone to come on board. We need the money, but more importantly, we are family, and of course, with the presence, there's strength in numbers, and I really just want to say that we've had a very good year in terms of increased interest and participation in CANTO. We've had record AGM revenue results, and of course, we've had to manage our expenditures, but at the same time, ensuring that we have true added value to ensure that the organization is sustainable. As you know, we're not for profit, but we're certainly not for loss. So that is it for me, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for the Treasurer? Go ahead.
Mr. Treasurer, forgive me, but math is not exactly a strong suit of mine. 1.4 in revenues and 1.38 in liabilities or expenses. Leaves 11.
In terms of the actual, yeah, so.
You got the answer to your question?
Right. Yes, that was yeah, no, so you would have had ultimately, you would have net gains. Yes, I did bypass this. I know time was running, so I should have stopped on this slide. I did skip over it in error. So yes, so we did have an increase in terms of the, you do have net gains in terms of the fair value of the investments. So that ultimately, because this is a statement of comprehensive income, which leads to your surplus, and that is what is carried across to the balance sheet and increases your reserves and ultimately your total assets. Thank you, Vice Chair. I moved a little too fast. You're up and alert.
Any more questions for the treasurer? If there are no questions for the treasurer, then I'd like to thank Gerard for his presentation. The motion is now on the table to receive and consider the report of the directors and audited financial statements of the company for the financial year ended 30th September 2024. All those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand and say yea. All those against the motion, raise your right hand and say nay. I declare the motion carried out unanimously. We will now move to item number 7, Auditor's Report for the year ended 30th September 2024. I call upon Mr. Jimmy Rodriguez, Finance and Administrative Manager of CANTO, to read the Auditor's Report.
Thank you, Chairman. Dear members, I read the Independent Auditor's Report. We have audited the financial statements of CANTO, the association, which comprise the Statement of Financial Position as at 30th September 2024, and the Statement of Comprehensive Income, Statement of Changes in Equity, and Statement of Cash Flows for the year ended, and notes to the financial statements, including a summary of significant accounting policies. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statements present fairly, in all material respects, the financial position of the association as at 30th September 2024, and its financial performance and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with the IFRS for SMEs accounting standard. Basis of opinion. We conducted our audit in accordance with international standards on auditing, ISAs. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statements section of our report. We are independent of the association in accordance with the International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants. We have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with the IESPA Code. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with SME's accounting standard, and for such internal control as management determines is necessary to enable the preparation of financial statements that are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. In preparing the financial statements, management is responsible for assessing the association's ability to continue as a going concern, disclosing as applicable matters related to going concern, and using the going concern basis of accounting, unless management either intends to liquidate the association or to cease operations or has no realistic alternative but to do so. Those charged with governance are responsible for overseeing the association's financial reporting process. Our objectives are to attain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinion. Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but is not a guarantee that an audit conducted in accordance with ISAs will always detect a material misstatement when it exists. Misstatements can arise from fraud or error and are considered material if, individually or in the aggregate, they could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decisions of users taken on the basis of these financial statements. As part of our audit in accordance with ISAs, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit. We also identify and assess the risk of material misstatements of the financial statements, whether due to fraud or error, design and perform audit procedures responsive to those risks, and obtain audit evidence that is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis of our opinion. The risk of not detecting a material misstatement resulting from fraud is higher than for one resulting from error, as fraud may involve collusion, forgery, intentional omissions, misrepresentations, or the override of internal control. To obtain an understanding of internal control relevant to the audit in order to design audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the association's internal control. 3, evaluate the appropriateness of accounting policies used and the reasonableness of accounting estimates and related disclosures made by management. 4, conclude on the appropriateness of management's use of the going concern basis of accounting and based on the audit evidence obtained, whether material uncertainty exists related to events and conditions that may cast significant doubt on the association's ability to continue as a going concern. If we conclude that the material uncertainty exists, we are required to draw attention in our auditor's report to the related disclosures in the financial statements, or if such disclosures are inadequate, to modify our opinion. Our conclusions are based on the audit evidence obtained up to the date of the auditor's report. However, future events or conditions may cause the association to cease to continue as a going concern. 5, evaluate the overall presentation, structure, and content of the financial statements, including the disclosures, and whether the financial statements represent the underlying transactions and events in a manner that achieves fair presentation. We communicate with those charged with governance regarding, among other matters, the plan, scope, and timing of the audit and significant audit findings, including any significant deficiencies in internal control that we identify during our audit. Signed by Dinesh Bola for and on behalf of DSB Financial Solutions Limited, Port of Spain, Trinidad, 21st of November, 2024.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rodriguez. I will now ask the Secretary General to read the resolution proposed on this matter.
Be it resolved that the report of the directors and the audited financial statements for the financial year ended 30th September 2024 be received and adopted.
May I now have a proposer? Director Reynolds, One Communication, Guyana. Can I have a seconder? Charles Douglas, Cable and Wireless, Grenada. The motion is now on the table. All in favor, raise your right hand and say yea. All against, raise your right hand and say nay. I declare the motion carried unanimously. We will now move on to item number 8, resolution to appoint auditors resolution to appoint auditors 2024-2025. Before, what I need to mention here, I'd like to inform the members that we had a stage of 4 years with the current auditor, and we did an RFP on which only one auditor responded. We decided that that doesn't give us a good view with regard to an evaluation of the proposals. So to make sure that our books are audited in time, we decided to continue with the current auditor and prepare a new RFP so that we can still receive new proposals and by doing so have a better evaluation of the proposals. So we will continue with DSB Financial Solutions as auditor of the company and to authorize the directors to fix their remuneration. We will continue for 1 more year and simultaneously do an RFP for the next year. I will ask the Secretary General to read the resolution proposed on this matter.
Be it resolved that DSB Financial Solutions be appointed as the auditors and that the directors be authorized to fix their remuneration for the ensuing year.
May I have a proposer? Reese, Cable and Wireless Communications. Can I have a seconder? Director Reynolds, One Communications, Guyana. May we now have a vote on the motion before the meeting? All those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand and say yay. All those against the motion, raise your right hand and say nay. I declare the motion carried unanimously. We will now move on to item number 9, presentation of the 2024-2025 budget. I will once again call upon the Treasurer, Mr. Gerard Cooper, to present the budget estimates for the year 2024-2025.
Thank you, Chair. You'll see my face one more time. Okay, so we come to a very important part in terms of setting the budgets for 2025. The key thing in terms of, or the pivotal items, I should say, that the board considered in terms of being put forward by the Secretariat is really that roadmap and the major milestones around that roadmap to continued sustainability. Of course, we're building on, as I indicated in my earlier presentation, the 4 years of surplus post-COVID. We are aggressively looking for members, or assertively looking for members, and we will be certainly continuing that drive with the Secretariat just to also increase members as well as attendees. We have the e-market. We still only have one person on, and we certainly will be pushing. We have 2 roadshows planned coming up in this financial year, and of course, always the Secretariat looking for ways to improve the participant experience, of course, which will impact the expenses. So whether it be food and beverage, AV, and all of these other matters. So just wanted to, should have gone to the slide while I was speaking. So in terms of the budget snapshot, and I do apologize for that typo we had when I was presenting the financials, we are looking, of course, for an increase in revenue. Again, we won't have a return, and I'll speak to it in about a minute or two, back to some of the conference revenue levels that we did have in the past. So we're looking for an increase conference membership, and of course with new members you would have revenue. Expenditures by default will increase because you do have a larger conference and AGM in terms of increased membership and attendees, and all in all we're looking for an increased surplus of a 45% increase. In absolute terms it's not a lot, it's really 16,000 from the 11,000 for this year, but in terms of relative it is a significant increase in terms of carrying on the efficiency from next year. So the key thing is that the annual conference really of the 2 major events in the financial year, that is really the increase, that is what will be driving the forecasted increase in revenue of 107,000. Again, mainly from sponsorships. What we would be looking to do, and Danelle may have mentioned it, looking to do a slight change, always trying to innovate. Probably we'd be looking at multi-year sponsorships so as to have a little bit more sustainability, mitigating the revenue at risk in future conferences as well as AGMs. But we certainly would be driving a lot of sponsorships because the value is there. A lot of deals are made at CANTO. We are steady as she goes in terms of the memberships, but we will be consistent there. We are projecting an increase in membership. And of course, the CANTO magazine in terms of continuing advertising there as well as the website. Madam SG, I don't know, is the website almost done? Yeah, so we're looking to launch in another 2 months or so. That raised presence, I know, will certainly attract advertising dollars. In terms of expenditure, again, we do have to ensure that the most important asset of CANTO in terms of it's not desks and chairs and fridges and buildings, our employees as a board, we are very passionate about the secretariat. They have delivered here. They continue to deliver, and so we will be looking to ensure that we have a fit-for-purpose structure, basically engaging employees, and of course training would also be increasing. So we do have a slight increase there. We do have the AGM coming up. Well, sorry, the AGM next year. We are projecting again an improved attendee experience. So there are some increases there. The conference costs related to the budgets that we have already coming in for July. The key thing, of course, is ensuring that that engagement is there for our attendees, for our vendors, for our exhibitioners. We would have some increased costs there, and the board has considered that. And the key thing is to drive really the presence and the profile of the organization. There will be other expense increases as we seek to, through the secretariat in terms of attendances of key, taking up invitations and going to key conferences from time to time. So, in summary, we are requesting the membership to approve the budget for 2024-25 as presented, with a total revenue of 1.517,950,000, total expenditure of 1,490,682, and with a surplus after tax of 16,287, a 45% increase year on year. I will hand over back to the chair.
Thank you, Treasurer. Are there any questions for the Treasurer? Can you speak into the microphone, please?
Regarding your expenditure page, there is a point, additional spend on training. I was wondering what type of training.
So it would be in terms of the actual, so we have marketing, we do have targeted training. The SG basically would determine that in terms of giving her the budget as regards where that would increase. But the key thing, as Danielle would have spoken to during the Finance Committee presentations, the whole exercise we do in terms of our job descriptions, the training budget would really come out of that in terms of developing the gaps in terms of where those are, but certainly as we seek to drive our membership, suffice to say, we would be looking at training in terms of project management, marketing, and other areas, again, coming out of that job evaluation exercise.
Any other questions for the Treasurer? Microphone, please.
Reese Campbell, Cable and Wireless Communications. I am referring to page 43 of the annual report, which has the financial statements included. I note that there's an increase in the expenses for membership services. So I'm not Just wanted to understand what's driving that increase and if we've budgeted a significant increase for the new budget year.
Yes, so this budget, we did provide for a 24,000 increase in membership services. Again, that is to ensure in terms of the whole onboarding and the whole engagement and facilitating of that experience, because we as I keep, can't stress enough, though we are not a profit organization, we are a sustainable one, and we want to really ensure that our members are engaged, retained, and be able to spread the word. So we do have an increase. You'd have ultimately a natural increase as you bring on more members, and again, as the Secretariat continues their good work in terms of improving that experience. Yes.
Any more questions for the Treasurer regarding the budget 2024-2025? As there are no more questions, I will now read the proposed resolution. I will now ask the Secretary General to read the proposed resolution on this matter.
Be it resolved that the budget estimates for the year 2024-2025, as approved by the Board of Directors and presented by the Treasurer, be received and adopted.
May I have a proposer? Director Reynolds, One Communications Guyana, and a seconder, Reese Campbell, Cable and Wireless Communications. We will now vote on the motion. Anyone in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand and say a yea. Anyone against the motion, please raise your right hand and say nay. I declare the motion carried unanimously. We will now move on to item number 10 of this AGM, election of directors. I will now hand over to the presiding officer, Mr. Julian Wilkins, to conduct elections.
Before we do that, it's a unique situation with us starting the new HR and training committee, and I didn't think of that while I was up there. I was thinking of marketing and sales. And I wanted to let you know we've already have 4 members on our committee, and we're waiting for the board to give us some more direction. But TATT, the regulatory authority in Trinidad, who's been on our marketing committee, has abandoned and come over to the HR committee. They sponsor our VIP reception in July. Richard Solomon, a new member who spoke today, is our 2nd member. I believe he has confirmed Deborah Thomas, as Gerard has, the head of HR for TSTT, is our 3rd. But why I wanted to mention this, our 4th is here perhaps for the first time. He is the head of HR for Atesca, and I thought he might want to wave to you all, for you all to welcome him. And man, he's jumped right into the HR and training. So if you can encourage him to wave to everyone.
Much for the contribution. Mr. Julian Wilkins.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are we doing? How are we?
Fine.
I mean, yesterday evening on the dance floor, I saw so much movement, so much energy. Guys, great to see you all. So, let me just find my notes here. Okay. Now, I think what I've got to do now is, esteemed members, we will ask for your patience before we go into the elections. Ask for your patience and attention as we take a moment to address some special matters of importance before continuing with the elections. So at this point, I would like to ask Director Charles to make a few remarks. So I've made my first faux pas of the afternoon. Chairman, directors, if you'd like to leave the stage, please. Secretary General, if you'd like to stay on the stage. Oh, you want to leave and come back? Okay, all right. So let me just get that bit right. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you very much, Julian. There's not much you can do wrong at CANTO. All is well. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the board of CANTO, I extend the deepest gratitude to its outgoing members who will not be seeking re-election, namely Mr. Kendall Duprasoy, Mr. Rahamadar Maharaj, who is not present, and Ms. Melissa Sutherland, who also is not present. We want to place on record our appreciation for your service to the board. It was an honor to work alongside you as you made your invaluable contributions and shared your insights with commitment and passion. The time and energy that you voluntarily invested made a real difference. Kendall, thank you for challenging the board to consider broader implications of its decisions. That certainly helped it to navigate various circumstances with greater awareness. And to Ram, we thank you for the technical perspectives that you brought to the board in the discussions, and in particular your keen insights as to how CANTO can deliver better value to members and exhibitors. And to Melissa, who I believe was the longest serving member of the board, completing 5 consecutive terms, so 10 years. We thank you for your dedication in leading and thereafter supporting the regulatory committee, as well as representing CANTO at various spectrum fora, and your contribution will always be valued and appreciated. Of course, with the 3 of you no longer being a part of the board, we are confident that you will continue to support CANTO in 2025 and beyond, and thought that we'd make these brief remarks just to show our, publicly and for the record, to show our great appreciation to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Douglas. Okay, so I'd like to ask the Vice Chairman, Mr. Del Rio Newman, if you could, Dr. Del Rio Newman, if you could come and address the floor, please.
Good afternoon. It is both an honor and a privilege to stand here today to pay tribute to a remarkable leader and visionary, our outgoing chairman of the CANTO Board of Directors, Mr. Mike Antonius. Mike, your tenure has been nothing short of extraordinary. Through your leadership, CANTO has navigated challenges with resilience, seized opportunities with boldness, and achieved milestones that will be remembered for years to come. Your unwavering dedication to fostering collaboration across our member organizations, your passion for advancing digital transformation in the Caribbean, and your ability to inspire those around you have set a standard of excellence for us all. Under your leadership, CANTO has strengthened its influence, promoted innovation, and solidified its position as a driving force in the region's telecommunications sector. You have not only led us, but also empowered us to dream bigger and aim higher. But beyond your business acumen, you have brought an infectious energy and a commanding aura that are impossible to forget. By day, you were the epitome of focus and strategy, ensuring that business got done. By night, however, you were the life of the party. Reminding us all that hard work deserves celebration. The image of you rocking that famous Jamaican cap and dreadlocks at CANTO events will forever be etched in our memories, a perfect symbol of your high energy and the balance you brought to every gathering. Whenever I speak, I tend to quote a lot of Jamaican sayings. One of Mike's favorite saying is, "Buy dog and bark." In fact, up to last week he asked me. Of course, he has a hard time remembering it, and I oftentimes have to remind him of same. But this saying, as the Jamaicans in the room will know, holds a deeper meaning that resonates with Mike's leadership style. It is a reminder not to take on every task yourself, but to trust people around you to play their roles. And that's exactly what Mike exemplified as our chairman, trusting his team to execute while stepping in with guidance, wisdom, and that commanding presence when needed. He understood that great leadership isn't about micromanaging. It's about empowering others to succeed. That's a lesson he has imparted to us all, and it's a philosophy that will continue to shape this organization long after he's gone. On behalf of the Board of Directors, the Secretariat staff, our membership, and by extension, the entire CANTO family, I extend our deepest gratitude for your invaluable contributions. While we will miss your wisdom and leadership, we are confident the legacy you leave behind will continue to guide us as we build on the strong foundation you have laid. As you step into the next chapter, we wish you all the best. May it be filled with joy, health, and new adventures. Know that you will always have a home here at CANTO. Thank you, Mike, for an amazing 2-year term and everything that you have accomplished in that time. I will end with another Jamaican saying, "Good friends are better than pocket money." Thank you for being a good friend. Bless.
Okay, yeah, I want to be like Mike. I was actually getting a little worried when the video started because it was all stills, if you notice. I thought, this is a little bit. But then towards the end, we saw the real Mike. Actually, Chairman, if you'd like to come to the stage as well as the Vice Chair.
They say good things come in small packages. Huh?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Gracias.
I'd like to call Kendall Dupasoy to the stage. Oh, yes, of course. Not. We can actually do it below. I forgot about that. Okay, so I'd now like to bring the meeting back to order and transition to the election proceedings. So what I'm going to do now is just give you a little bit of a preamble so that, so that you're aware of what's happening. And then also, I'll go through the process before we actually go into the elections. So, the first thing in my preamble, and to note, is that only voting members should remain in the assigned seats behind their signage. Okay, so I think we have that situation here, mostly. Anyway, so I'm just making that statement. All making nominations during the election process should identify by the name, the company, and the name of the company being nominated. So you actually nominate the company. Then we will declare the number of eligible votes. Proxies, we will go through that process because a number of you actually have proxies here this afternoon. Then we'll declare the positions that are available for election. In fact, the positions are chairman, vice chair, treasurer, and directors. Now, I'll do it in a particular order, that being, we'll do the election for the chairman first, followed by the vice chair, followed by the treasurer. So we're doing all the officers first, and then we'll do directors. Any questions? So now let me discuss the process that we'll go through. So as you've been used to doing, members will raise their right hand when they're making a nomination. Raise their right hand, so we will then, from the stage, we can see who's making the nomination. We'll ask you to identify yourself. You'll stand, state your nomination. So you'll state the country, the organization. Is that right, Secretary General? Please correct me if I'm making any errors here. So we will record the nomination. Now, each nomination must be seconded. So we will ask for a seconder. And again, you raise your right hand, we will call you up. Well, we'll ask you to stand, and you will state the nomination, name, and organization. We will then confirm the nomination, and then depending on, well, we will request if there's other nominations. So we will repeat the steps that I've just gone through. At the point of no nominations, we will declare the nominations closed. Now, if the nominations exceed the number of positions available, that's the point where we will go to a secret ballot. At that point, the Secretariat will distribute paper ballots to voting members and collect the filled out ballots and return it to the presiding officer. The counting of ballots will be done on stage with the support of the Secretary General, and the results announced and positions declared as filled. So I'm just trying to outline the process, just so that, you know, I know some of you are new to this, and it's, you know, not something you do every day. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask questions.
Officer has announced the process. We will have a very short break, a biological break. Quickly come back into the room, and we will continue with the voting. 5 minutes, Chair, Presiding Officer.
Yes, 5 minutes. Quick break.
Pastor.